Hello and welcome to this episode of a podcast where we'll be discussing Trump's recent tweet about the Golan Heights and whether they should be recognized as part of Israel or not. So, what are your thoughts on this, Jacob?
Well, it's quite strange given that it's quite unprecedented to make a move to recognize annexed territory as essentially the territory of the occupier, even though the occupier themselves doesn't officially claim it as their own territory, only that it's temporarily held for a strategic advantage. It's such a weird position for this to be in, but
Y- Yeah, I do agree. It's a very weird position for Trump to take, where he's fighting for something that even Israel isn't actually wanting right now, or at
yeah,
least not professing to want.
he's taking a more pro-Israeli stance than the Israelis, but I,
Yeah, which
I
is very interesting
I think the
because
reason and motive behind this is that he's sort of chummying up to Israel, because lots of Americans, especially Republicans, advocate like pretty decisively in favor of Israel and its right to exist
so
and continued military support. So I think this is him maybe doing a political
so
maneuver in
you'd
an
say
attempt
he's
to
just kind
rally
of
support.
appealing to his base here, you know.
Potentially, yeah, or maybe just throwing a branch out for Netanyahu or something. I feel like it's some politically motivated move because I don't see it as like a genuine good faith effort to, secure the region, to like acknowledge something as
Oh,
being
absolutely not. No, this is
like
not for any sort of US strategic goal.
it's
It, I, I
at
agree. It's
best
definitely politically motivated in some context.
at best it improves like foreign relations with Israel, but I don't think that's ever in real question
Yeah, it's never
because
in doubt.
he just
I mean, if hundreds
recognized
of millions of dollars per year doesn't
yeah.
improve your relationship with someone, I don't know what will.
It's like the Israel isn't gonna just suddenly just go, oh, screw you, America, because they
Yeah,
rely on
it is
America.
just really. I suspect that it's a combination of just an appeal to his base, right? In the sense that, yeah,
Mm,
you're Republicans, you like Israel, I like Israel, vote for me, right?
mm,
Combined with just a regular. Because the thing is, with Trump, right? And I hate to sound like Trump bad, right? But with Trump, you do have to be quite careful of assuming everyone is a rational actor, right?
yeah.
Trump is not always a rational actor, so it could just be beyond that he's appealing to his base, beyond that he's trying to make the area more secure. It could just be that he woke up one morning and decided, yeah, Golan Heights should be part of Israel. I just tweeted it, you know?
Yeah, it could have just been he. I'll try and extrapolate his thought process. It could have been Golan Heights is occupied by Israel. It has been occupied by Israel for so and so many years. He's like, it should just be a part of Israel, and he's
The,
probably just put it out there. Like
the thing
maybe.
is, though, that beyond the Trump's actual tweet, if we actually think about what say this happened, right? You
Mm,
know, everyone was like, "Yep, Golan Heights is part of you Israel. You annexed it, right?" It does set an interesting precedent. Think
yeah.
about, for example, the Russians in Crimea, right?
Mm,
Do they get to say, "Well, we annexed Crimea. Why is it not part of Russia?" They want to recognize that now,
mm,
right?
mm.
So that would make many people who agree with the Golan Heights, say Republicans, right? They think the Golan Heights should be part of Israel. Well, are they willing to extend that logic to other parts of the world? I think not. You know.
Because like my position on this is it's quite reasonable for Israel to occupy Golan Heights for security and strategic reasons, but it would be by far a step too far for them to say it is now ours and we will act as if it is ours forever. Like there should be always the underlying thought of returning it to Syria when it's in a more stable scenario and when it doesn't directly maybe harbor terrorist groups or sects that have bad intentions with Israel.
Yeah, it is an interesting idea because at what point does an annexed territory just become part of the country that annexed it, right? Much of
Mm,
the current European borders are results of territory that's been annexed at one point or another, but it's been such a long time that barely, if anyone remembers, they don't put any stock in it, right?
Gibraltar.
Yeah, although Gibraltar wasn't so much annexed, it was given in I guess, a legitimate way, kind of like it was given under duress, right?
Yeah.
Post 7 Years War, I believe. But
Mm,
so it is kind of interesting though, because like at what point, like say that Israel occupies the Golan Heights for another 100 years, do then we just say, oh, it's part of Israel, right? Like because it will happen at some point, and it just and I have no opinion on this matter. I'm just kind of posing the question:
mm.
when does it just become part of that country? When do we forget that it was ever part of Syria? You know?
I would say you need to fill like a multitude of criteria. For instance, it would be it would be that one of okay, to an extent, it would be that the nation that had it annexed from them doesn't pursue a claim, because I don't think we see very much of you know, German citizens rallying around the support for reclaiming Alsace-Lorraine, do we? I think
But
it's
we do see Spanish people
rallying for
trying
Gibraltar.
to get the return of Gibraltar, so
Hmm.
it's
Which
interesting.
is a bit of an issue. However, this leads into the second part. One, do the people want to be a part of the occupied nation, or do they want to go back to their own, previously owned by nation? And this
So,
is
so
like
you would almost define it democratically.
yeah, partially, but this leads to a bit of a problem in the form that what if you build settlements in Golan Heights and you start essentially migrating over people of your own nation
Exactly.
there?
Who can then vote? Cough, cough. Northern Ireland. Cough, cough.
No. Mm.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
no. So yeah, you're right, and I just think it's an interesting kind of thought experiment where like everyone now is like, well, Trump, that's a step too far. But in
Mm.
50 years, will we think differently? Possibly, possibly not.
Well,
Um,
possibly, yeah.
but
It's
I
an
think
awkward
overall
issue.
our conclusions on this is that Trump is either just appealing to his political base or is just being Trump. Tweeted this,
Yeah.
and it does have some kind of implications that we don't really want to get into, like as a world, and therefore no one's really supporting it. Is that kind of our like
Yeah.
overall perspective on this topic? I
Yeah,
think.
pretty much that. You know, potentially dangerous precedent. Overall, it's just a funny thing.
I think if you got, by the way, if anyone listening thinks we've gone a bit light on this topic, it's because we're probably going to go do a much more detailed episode on kind of Israel in general,
Yeah.
right? And Israeli like expansionism and policy and all that sort of stuff, and we'll really get into what our opinions are on it. Whereas in this case, we're just kind of going a lighter brush over this specific issue, but we will get into the meat of it, I guess, at some point in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, other than that, thanks very much for listening, and I guess we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, farewell.